Fox is dying, everyone. Fox is dying.
I will
Fox,
live
you
on.
okay?
Long live the king.
Oh, you're calling yourself Scump now, I see.
Oh no, I'm stepping on
Jerd.
toes.
Hey,
No, he's
in
just
the
calling
chat,
himself
10
Kingdom
seconds in and I'm
Soldier.
stepping on toes.
what did you say, goalie?
He's calling himself Kingdom Soldier. Kingdom's the king. Come on.
Oh no.
Unfortunately, guys, Kingdom is not here today. It's actually his Kingdom Wifey's birthday. So he's unfortunately he couldn't be able to make it today, but we got some friends here today. We got, as our special guest, we got Mr. Mark. We have MazezRealm today. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing excellent, brother. I'm doing very, very good, and it's my first time here on the show, so I'm excited to be here with you guys.
And I'll ask you guys, and Mark included as well, how was your guys' July 4th? Obviously, you know, we just came off that weekend. I know everyone's probably recovering a little bit, but anyone in particular do anything interesting? Just curious. Anyone?
I did wholesome activities with family members, and it was a loving weekend.
Loving weekend. I like
That's
that.
what we're going with.
I like that.
That's what I did this weekend.
I just went on the lake, watched fireworks. It's kind of fun. There's like fireworks going on all around us. Took a picture, posted on Twitter. Got some favorites. But yeah, that's really about it. Maze, you have anything fun?
Actually, I had a lot of fun. My birthday is usually right before July 4th every year. I can't time it any better than that, unfortunately. So I celebrated my birthday at my brother's place all the way in Chattanooga. So I had fun over there, and celebrated there in downtown Chattanooga. They had a pretty cool event going down there, so it was fun. I really enjoyed it, and I'll leave it at that. Just like, Fox has some secrets. I'm gonna bury mine too for the weekend.
Man.
I'm feeling that moment. Happy late birthday, by the way. Happy late birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem. And goalie, I know you said that you had a pretty interesting day. Not a whole lot of American, ness to it, but what did you do, my friend?
I sat in my room looking at my computer screen, and then I streamed, and I listened to annoying fireworks over on my right over there. But yeah, that was my 4th of July.
Could be the Grinch on the 4th of July.
Like the only non-American thing to do is just to sit in your room and...
Oh, these stupid fireworks. Why are they even here?
Why are we free? I don't know. I just want to play video games here. I'm kidding.
I love you to death, dude. That's crazy. That came out of your mouth.
You should have put like your webcam like on the window and just like had fireworks. You guaranteed like views like that. Anybody?
That would have been the best show, I think. I mean,
should
have done that.
I should have just full screened it. Played some Darude Sandstorm in the background.
Oh,
that would have been a great stream.
Dude, you can't just give out your idea like that, dude. That's money. That's money.
Hey, Rondez Fox. I already have 30,000 other ideas that are better than that.
Oh, okay.
He gave an exact number. He said 30,000.
Now, if anyone can. Don't quote that.
That's
a significant amount.
Don't quote that, but
it's a lot of pro points.
Please, yeah.
Not really. It's not very many pro points at all. But we'll talk about that later in the show. But guys, yes, it is the STiKS Live today. I'm gonna give these guys a chance to introduce themselves a little bit more, kind of give a background on what they do in the community. I'll give you guys about 30 seconds to do that, and once we're done with that, we will do the question of the week, provided by someone who actually follows me on Twitter. It's actually a really cool question, so I decided to make that the question of the week. So I'm going to start with Fox to give his intro, then I'm going to go to Maze, then to Mr. Goalie, and then I will end it out, and then go to the question of the week. So, Fox, give your intro.
Hello, I'm Fox. I'm an MLG TV partnered live streamer at mlg.tv/Fox. I'm a YouTuber, upload very frequently. You should definitely check out my content, especially this weekend for UMG Dallas. I feel like my best content comes out when I'm at events, so definitely check that out when you get the chance. I'm also a member of the STiKS. You see me hosting this every week, something I deeply enjoy doing, and we're going to have a great show today.
We will indeed. Mr. Mark?
Well, I am Maze. You guys know me as a esports caster as well. I used to do YouTube, and I used to compete as well, but that was a long time ago, and I stick to casting now. I'm also the executive director of Perfect Alliance, and do a lot of work there behind the scenes to try to help organizations out in the competitive scene as well. So that's what I pretty much do.
Yeah, PA, very known as well. Goalie?
Hi, my name is Goalie. I do this thing called the STiKS. I like producing it, but for the last 3 weeks, I've been on it for some reason. I still don't know why I'm here.
We like you too much.
But I'm here. I'm the head of COD Esportspedia, largest COD esports database on the multiverse, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
By the way, we saw someone from Coyote Sportspedia on the ESR today.
Yes,
I
Andre.
believe Andre was actually on there and killed it. I think he
Andre
got to,
representing.
round 7 or round 8. That was pretty
But
impressive.
if I didn't get to see the beginning portion, but I heard that he had to use a lifeline on the M&M question, and I was disappointed about that.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it, man.
So
he got a lot of he got everything else really easily though, so I don't want to get on too badly for it. I'll let him slip up once because he had so many other things just easily, so I'm fine with it.
Yeah, he knew
I'm
more
proud
than
of Andre's
Methods did.
performance.
He knew more than a pro player did. Well, he's kind of
Yeah.
Methods like isn't really known in this game, but still a very well known pro player. But yeah, guys, for me anyway, host of the STiKS occasionally, YouTuber, also caster and streamer and whatnot. Hosted the 5K the other day, had a great time with Mr. Puckett, but also going to UMG Dallas along with Fox. Great time here on the STiKS. I enjoyed doing it. Like I said, YouTube content is something that I've been really focusing and harping on as of late. So that's been all of us, the kind of the cast of the STiKS for today. But it is now time for the question of the week, provided by Mr. II Zenith. I'm just gonna call him Zenith because I don't like the I's or the Z's in front of like XX Sniper.
It adds character, Landon. It adds character.
It's like a build up in the middle. It's like XX boom, your name. I don't know. Either way, this question is coming from Zenith. He asks or says, and by the way, this is going to be a scenario. So you imagine yourself, you're in a game, you're in an event, you're a player. Okay, keep that in mind. Chat as well. I want you guys to answer this question. Okay, so scenario is it's MLG's 100th event. It is the grand finals. You are in S&D game 5. You're down 0-5 in search and destroy. So you're in a very bad situation. 0-5, game 5, search and destroy in the grand finals of MLG's 100th event. You can pick 3 teammates along with yourself to come back from this 0-5, downgrade. You're down 0-5. What 3 teammates do you want to be with you to try to make the comeback? So that is this week's question. I thought that was amazing.
That's a good question.
I liked it a lot personally. I feel like a lot of our choices could be the same. I know we were talking about it a little bit in the pre-call, but in the chat, make sure to leave your guys' other 3. By the way, your 4th is yourself, so you can't have a team. You have to have 3 others. So I'm gonna go ahead and go over to Maze to give his first.
Okay. This should be interesting. All right, so I did think about this for about 30 seconds because, as Fox said, this is an actual easy decision. You know who you want to clutch up with. I would have to go with Scumpy, for sure. That would be my number one pick there. Clayser would be another one of my picks. And then, of course, Crim6. He's got ice in his veins. He's very good at composing himself in situations like that. And he's very good at pulling strats out of a hat, too. So that would be my squad. Of course, I'd be doing the objective work and carrying the bomb and trying to do that.
Very solid. I must admit, I'm sure all of our players, at least one player is probably in every single one of our lists that's in that list as well. So, very good list, by the way. I'm going to go ahead and head over to Fox, then Goalie. Keep in mind you're up next after Fox, and then I will end it. But Fox, who do you want as your teammates to make the 0-5 comeback?
Originally, I was going to say Crim, Clay, Scump, but I think I'm going to switch it up a little bit just to make it different because I don't want us to all have very similar answers. I'm going to go with Crim6 because he's just someone you expect to keep composure and clutch up when he needs to. I don't see him ever, getting the shakes, just getting nervous or making a mistake out of. Yeah, dude's a robot.
Teammate,
so, I mean,
but other than that, it's fine.
I'm going to go with Crim, Clay, and I'm going to say Parasite. Now, I know a lot of people would disagree with that because they don't like Parasite's attitude and such, but I feel like in a moment like that, that's a situation where he can put that away. And especially when he's, aside people like Clay and Crim that can shut him up and that can be in-game leaders as well, they're all extremely talented players and they all know how to win. That is a squad right there that I would want and that I would trust for a comeback.
Yeah, Parasite, I think he's won, the last 2 Pro League MVPs for Search and Destroy? Yeah. That's no one would be. I don't think anyone would disagree with that pick by any means. But Goalie, what other 3 players do you want to be, as your teammates in the 0-5 comeback?
Okay, well, 1, we need Aches because we need that motivation. We need that motivation to get out of that 0-5 comeback. We need him to do the "I believe" speech.
Yes.
Because otherwise, with that, there's no way that I'm gonna even drop a single kill. That I want Zuma because Zuma's cocky. And he's a good cocky, and I want Looney because his snipes on at least Skyrise were really good during the Pro League this last week. So
I really like your I like your strats, man. You chose everyone new. In mine, I think every person that I chose has been in someone's list, if not everyone's list. But That's a good pickup. I like your team, to be honest. I like Looney's addition of the sniper as well.
Also,
I was gonna say Dito.
I'm gonna point out these 3 players are in the are in the top first bloods per map on in season 3 right now.
So you're guaranteed the 3 versus 4.
Good, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which one did you say? You said Looney and who else?
Looney, STiKS, and Zuma.
Okay. I agree with the Looney pick. I 100% like that one.
I do as well. But I also, for my personal one, I have Clayster. I think everyone's chosen Clayster except for goalie, but Clayster's the hype guy. You win one round, he's like, we can do this. I'm like, yes, we can. We got this.
You're right, Clay.
I'm 0-5 right now, but Clayster makes me feel like I have double digits in kills. I also have Crim6. Crim is just an animal, thinking of Express. I'm not trying to like bring back bad memories for Optic fans, but Express, Search and Destroy. Crim6 got like a clutch 1 versus 3. The dude just like doesn't get scared. At least he doesn't show it. Emotion is just not a thing for Crim6. And I also have STiKS. I know goalie also chose STiKS. I know this is Advanced Warfare. STiKS is not the best at Advanced Warfare, but if he has Clayster and Crim with him, the amount of, I'd say like the fire that STiKS gets whenever he like realizes that fire is behind him, he is amazing. And I'm not saying that he's good at this game, but if he's in Search and Destroy, everything's behind him. He's got this focus. I feel like STiKS is going to blow up. I think the only problem with my team is that I'm on it. So I think that's the only downgrade that could possibly go on. But
hey, there you go.
Yeah, after playing with you with Kingdom,
sure.
after playing with you in Kingdom last Friday, was it? I agree with that last statement from you.
Land's not good at Xbox Call of Duty, that's for sure. I'm looking at the chat a little bit. I see a couple different answers. Oh my god, Fizzurp, Felony, and Killa. I was kind of surprised no one mentioned Killa or Fizzurp, to be honest.
Because I feel like Killa, we're talking about specifically S&D, right? I feel like Killa, right?
Oh yeah, this is Game 5 Search and Destroy, yeah.
In Advanced Warfare? Is that what we're assuming?
Yeah, this is the 100th event.
I feel like in any other game I wouldn't mind Killa being on my team, but in this one I would not. I feel like there are definitely some other options that I would pick for S&D than Killa. I feel like his reign as like the best S&D player in the world for now has kind of dip below the many other players that are able to hold their own on any squad.
Oh yeah, I think if we were to choose like any Call of Duty, I mean we could have done that, but I just decided to do this one, put it like in a more delicate scenario. I think Miracles could have even been back there. His 2-piece in the grand finals, clutch factor definitely in Miracles' favor. But guys, we're going to head on to our next topic, which is actually in the Pro League. So if you guys missed it, last week was the first week of the Season 3 Pro League. We're going to go over the current standings as it sits for right now. Now, they've only played 3 matches total, at least most of the teams have. I think some teams have only played 1. I think TCM's the only team who has only played 1. But these are the current standings for the MLG Pro League. Currently in first is Optic Gaming, 3-0. Sitting in second, it is Denial, currently at 2-0. Optic Nation currently sitting at 2-1. Coming in fourth, it is Orbit, which is also 2-1. In fifth is Envy with also 2-1. Coming in sixth is FaZe with 1-1. In seventh is Isolation Empire, who is currently 1-2. In eighth is also Team Caliber, Elevate, and Rise, who are sitting at 1-2. In 11th, it is TCM, 0-1. And in 12th, it is Epsilon, who are 0-3. So out of these placings, I'm going to ask you guys, what are some negative placings that you guys noticed? Now, granted, they've only played 3 matches. There are 22 instead of the regular 44 now in the Pro League lineup. What are some surprise placings that you guys have noticed that you thought might have been higher in the first week? And I'm going to go and start off with Fox for this one. So what are some negative surprise placings? These are negative only, so keep that in mind.
Right, so teams you thought underperformed, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, in week 1, yeah.
Okay, for me it's going to be Epsilon. Did not expect to see them 0-3 coming out of that relegation tournament. They looked so strong. It was hard for me to really pinpoint a specific weakness that I thought that they would have, other than inexperience within the Pro League. Because I mean, we see Swanee, who hasn't been able to play for a squad for a while, but we also see the other half of Epsilon has been in the league, and they just ended up being on that team. Half of TR, Remy, and Nagafin. So that was just weird for me to see them with no wins at all. 5-9 map count, so obviously some of their series have gone pretty far, but
yeah,
that's just I don't know, man. That's kind of upsetting to me. Also, TK, I didn't expect to see them in the same place as ISO. I also didn't expect to see them so close to Elevate. I knew Elevate wasn't going to do well in this league. I absolutely knew that Slacked was not going to be able to take that bow position that the team needed, and that's what's going to bring them down. Was he was really the only one that team could trust to be, their consistent AR players. So even STiKS has spoken on. He said that, he told Slack ahead of time that team was not going to work. But hey, I don't know. So for me, I'm going to say TK and Epsilon above all. I did not expect him to do so poorly.
I think you nailed most of them, but Maze, do you have any other surprise negative placings that you noticed?
I have to say for sure, Epsilon was one of mine as well. They shouldn't. Here's the thing. I think that they are a fairly new lineup working together. That's understandable, but the fact that they cannot clutch on some of those search and destroys where you expect them to be able to do that is what surprised me a little bit. I do know that also S&D can take a little bit of practice with a newer lineup. That's understandable as well, but overall, I think that they could have been able to clutch some of those situations, and they were not able to do so. So Epsilon's definitely my number one there. And isolation, too, for being a team that was able to really do fantastic throughout the relegation tournament. They had a little bit of miscommunications throughout some of those matches that they did play, throughout the matches that I watched, and they had some blown leads too, and that's really tough to see happen when you're up by quite a bit and you lose a game at the end of it. So I think that isolation and and Epsilon would be my two picks for a little bit of a slow start that probably will change, but it was surprising to me.
Yeah, I understand that. Goalie, do you have any other ones? I know we mentioned most of them, but do you have any, or do you want to add on to?
Honestly, you guys already mentioned everything that I was going to talk about. Epsilon and is just, that was mind blowing. I expect TCM to at least take a map, which I don't know if you guys talked about that earlier. I was getting the standings on screen, but I expected them to take a map. I didn't expect them to get 3-0'd by, was it Orbit? It was
a fast 3-0 too.
Yeah, it was a fast 3-0. That was disappointing to me personally. But I know Puckett and Benson have been talking a lot about it, that TP hasn't been playing, or at least they think he hasn't been playing because of his wedding, and then I think he had a birthday recently too, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah, I understand. Yeah, I mean, definitely it's not on his mind, to say the least, but from what you guys have said, I completely agree with just about every single thing that we've mentioned. Epsilon, for sure, to me at least, the main surprise. Epsilon, a very good roster, at least the guys that we've seen in the past. Currently 0-3, 5-9 in overall map count. Not what you want to see out of the Epsilon boys, especially because Swanee was so motivated out of the relegation tournament. I think he was one of the most motivated players that really showed how much he wanted to be in the Pro League. And for them to be starting off 0-3 is, I'm sure, not what he is happy with. So along with that, I was also a little bit surprised by Elevate. I mean, keep in mind, they've only played 3 matches, or at least the max is only 3 matches for some of these teams. I thought Select might be able to work with it. It was just, to me, it was kind of the only factor that I thought, my surprise with Elevate, is that I thought Select could maybe pick up that battle role. I thought that they might be able to use that effectively. And in previous 5Ks and some league matches that I've seen them play, or at least online scrims, I had seen them play it pretty well. I thought their 3 submachine gun player Slayers could really do that role, and they haven't really done that as of late. But that's really just about all of our negative surprise placings. Now we're going to go over to the positives. So you get the negatives, then we end it with the positives. But surprise positive placings so far in week 1. I'm going to go and start this one off with Goalie. Goalie, do you have any surprise positive placings that you have seen so far, or that surprised you in week
Optic Nation and Orbit, the teams that are both and 3rd and 4th place, especially after how Burns' team performed in the last Pro League towards the end. I didn't expect them to be placing in the top 4. I didn't even I expected them to be in the red 100%, but they had good games, especially after their 3-1 loss to ISO. And they freaking 3-0'd TCM, which I didn't see coming personally. But
yeah, that was
I like the Orbit roster. I mean, we have Happy that he's at a 1.15 overall KD right now, something like that. Happy's been consistent throughout all of Advanced Warfare, so that doesn't surprise you one bit.
Yeah, Orbit's roster is really, really talented. I mean, and to be honest, I wasn't really sure they perform either. That was one of my surprises, but for me personally, Optic Nation definitely the most surprising one. For me, like I said, I think ON has a really good roster. It's just we haven't seen them like shine through. Like Mochilla hasn't really been that main factor and whatnot. But this far, I think ON and Orbit. I know, man. It's like they made it through the relegation tournament when they had to. They clutched up versus Synergy and beat them 3-0. But I don't know. It's just ON's surprising me. They're doing something right this time.
So you don't feel that Moch is a big factor for ON? Is that what you're saying, or did I miss?
I'm saying he hasn't really he hasn't shown me the actual Moch that I've heard about, that I've seen in the past. Like, he wasn't performing as well as I thought that he should have been. But
really?
Now he is.
I don't know. I'm kind of something he really impresses me in is their hard point. I always trust Moach to be carrying them, and not carrying, to be dropping huge numbers on hardpoint alongside Bo's getting lots of entry kills and mirror slaying when he needs to. I actually want to look up Moach's hardpoint KD right now. Moach is at a 1.12 hardpoint KD, so that's and he's got 10.4 caps per game. He's doing a lot, I feel like, at least.
He is. I agree with you, Fox. I think that he is doing a fantastic job on that lineup, and I think another surprise too is Mbos. I don't know where this performance has come up from. Maybe it's what they call optic boot camp, whatever it is. Mbos is playing very, very impressive, and if he keeps it consistent, he'll continue to surprise people, I think. So that was definitely my surprise there.
Yeah, what's really funny is this roster before when they had Killa, Mbos was not doing so hot in S&D. I think a lot of people can agree that he lost him a lot of maps, specifically on Terrace S&D. I saw that he struggled a lot. I wish I could come up with specific examples of him being on Terrace, but I can't. None come to mind right now. But right now he's boasting a 1.52 KD, whereas the only other person with a positive KD in S&D would be Moach. Obviously, there's more to it than KD. There's obviously communication and your positioning with your teammates that comes into play. But when you have stats that high, above 1, like you're doing as much as you can for your team.
Right. And I didn't mean to say, by the way, I didn't mean to say that like Moach wasn't underperforming. He obviously, like you said, has carried them in some way. I just feel like they're all playing better. And for me, like watching Moach as a certain player, I feel like he's also improved in some way. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I just feel like as Moach, as the team has done better, I feel like Moach has also slightly improved. That's the only thing I didn't mean to say like Moach.
I'm going to bring this question up, and this could be controversial. But do you think that the reason that they're doing better is because they don't have Killa? And that's the only reason? It's not that no one is like, because besides Moach, no one's Bose is playing better, but they're all playing exactly the same like that they were before. So is it just that the fact that Killa's off the team, or is it Mochilla that's bringing him to this level?
I think it's a mixture of both.
Yeah.
Me personally, that's what I think.
I think that Moach, I feel like Killa really right now, even when he was in the league, mentally wasn't where he needed to be. Excuse me, I'm coming down with something a little bit here, but it wasn't where he needed to be mentally. Like he just seems like he hates the world right now. You know what I mean? And I'd imagine that's got to be difficult to team with. You know, he's always talking down to his teammates and such. And I feel like that Moach was definitely what they needed. Obviously, Moach doesn't have the best attitude either, but his in-game performance certainly makes up for it.
I completely agree. I think Killa was kind of, I mean, like you said, he's been negative. Maybe that drive behind them. You know, I think Ive Nation they have a lot of personalities on that team. You know, they're friends. They played in the past with each other, and maybe, you know, them being kind of that friendship role just involved the teammates. You know, if you have a friend and he brings you down constantly, you're normally going to be like, you act how your friends act in some way. So maybe that negative aspect could have maybe rubbed off on their overall gameplay. But we're going to go over, I was going to go over all the team rosters, but we don't really have to do that. It'll take a little bit of time, but I have to mention, by the way, the whole season 3 I thought has been amazing thus far. I thought the quality of the overall season 3 league has been tier 1. You know, the new additions of certain things, you know, the pregame, only 22 matches, I feel like is a lot better. And I'll ask you guys, what is your opinion on the new format of every match being casted and only 4 matches a night? Do you guys like that, or do you prefer more matches? I'm just curious on your guys' overall thoughts. I'm gonna start with goalie. Yeah,
I'm gonna tune in here. Oh my god! Thank you. Oh my, it's so much better. I absolutely love it. I'm thrilled with it. The only, and this is obviously a negative, is that the matches do take a long time to get done with and get through. If there's any technical issues, ESR's had their host drop like 3 times, 4 times, which that's really bad. That shouldn't be happening. But the format's so much better. It's so much easier to track. It's so much easier to know what's going on in the league. As a person who works in the industry, it's so much just easier to just look at and go to bed at night, like feeling sane. Like, and during season 2 and season 1, I was pretty much going crazy. It was really bad.
The COD stats guys too, man.
The COD stats guys are
they love
gods
what they do, but they couldn't stand how much they had to do it.
It's cut
that in half. Yeah,
it's like exactly. It's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work for the players too. Specifically, I mean, it's just when you're playing that many matches consecutively, then if you lose one, it doesn't mean as much. That's one thing too. It's a motivator if you have less room for error to be able to perform at your best. And I think that's what's really improving a lot of performances that we didn't expect. You don't have a lot of room for error, and that's why Epsilon is in a little bit of deep water right now. because they have to make sure that they set something up to start to win some more maps and get some more wins under their belt. But 22 matches, I think, is fantastic. It's definitely a better addition.
The only thing that does suck is that, like, I think that something that we really benefited from with having lots and lots of matches before was that LAN placements were much more representative of how the online league was going. So I hope that cutting it down like this does not start to, really show how inconsistent online Call of Duty is. Because when you get that many samples and that many trials, with 44 matches or whatever, then it represents it a lot. You know what I'm saying, right? I'm not putting it into words very well because they're just not coming to, but I think you get what I'm saying. I think I explained this in the last show, actually.
Yeah.
That's.
I just wanted to now that we've seen week 1 how it's going to work as smooth, we could talk about it in like last week. We kind of mentioned like how we think it's going to look, and now seeing it for week 1, I just wanted to talk on it a little bit. But personally, I absolutely love it. It's making me more excited. Last year it was like let's watch the Pro League. There's 44 matches. This is great. It's like there was like 8 matches at night. It was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, how do you expect me to be able to expect what's going on? And for them to be casting every single match every night, I think is great personally.
Agreed.
Or even 3 matches a night would be fine with me.
Yeah.
But the professional aspect I think is great. Just little things like them even wearing suits, which isn't like a big deal for me, but it treats it like an event. It makes it more official in some sense, and I think that they've really done a great job with that. But along with that professional aspect and cutting 44 matches now into 22, they've also added a couple more maps that we're going to talk about. So they've also added Skyrise Search and Destroy, Recovery S&D, which actually returns, Parliament Uplink, Hardpoint Compound, and Hardpoint Drift. Thoughts on the new DLC maps, new additives into competitive rotation, good or bad? I'm going to start with Maze.
Well, I'm gonna get crucified probably.
That's all right.
Here's the thing. I know that when I was competing back in the day, and Skyrise was one of those maps that was in the rotation that I used to have to play. It was something that I would have always have liked to see come back. I think it's something that is good to have new maps come in if there's a big if there. If the maps are made in a way where they cater to those types of game types. And that's my main issue with some of the maps that were added to the rotation. I like the fact that they're adding maps in there, but I don't like some of the maps that are being added. Now, case in point, Parliament Uplink is a little bit different in a bad way because the spawns are very hard to control. There's some escape routes that you can have where you can reset the drone or bleed out time very quickly without having any penalty or anything like that. You could lose control of the map and gain it right back. So Parliament on Uplink is a little iffy for me. Skyrise I love. I'm a huge fan of Modern Warfare 2, and I really like that map. And then the other ones are okay. I think that Hardpoint Drift is better than or Search and Destroy on Drift. Right. I didn't care for that one as much, but on Hardpoint it seems to play well. The hills are somewhat close to each other though, so it makes those rotations a little bit easier. But overall, I like it and I don't. I'm 50-50 with those.
Right, that's definitely understandable. I got my look at the maps yesterday in the 5K, just kind of looking at them and getting pro players playing. I played 8s with them a couple times. I had actually gotten a chance to look at them, but to actually feel and see how they work. Personally, I'm not a big fan of Hardpoint Compound. I think it's a little bit mixed up to me. Like, some of the hardpoints are very hard to control, and like you said, sometimes the spawns are a little bit messed up. Uplink Parliament to me was also kind of interesting, a little bit strange, but I personally really enjoyed casting over it. But it's one thing to cast over it, and one thing to actually be a fun map and an enjoyable map to play. So, kind of different aspects. But Fox or Goalie, do you guys have any thoughts about the new maps?
I really enjoy Compound Hardpoint. I think that it is a very welcome addition. I do not like Parliament Uplink. I think it's very one-sided. I don't remember. I want to say it's the red side that's the more dominant one. I really don't quote me on that. It's red or blue, obviously. There's only 2 sides, but it seems like there's a lot of the map that just isn't used and isn't necessary to use. It seems that's like true. Really it's only a one lane map, but you could also go through mid for the second lane. But that lane on the other side of the map is kind of useless because that long flank in the end is not going to be worth it most of the time. I don't like how long and open the map is. It's obviously going to be 4 bows or 3 bows. I think we see some teams run 3 bows, one SMG. And and it's not that it's bad because it's an all AR map. I feel like it's not that great because it's so open and the lines of sight are so long, and I just don't think Parliament Uplink is a welcome addition. I feel like there are definitely other things that we could put in place of it. Skyrise, I do like it so far. I'm sort of on the fence about it. I don't have a definitive opinion on it, but right now I do like it in our settings. I feel like it doesn't play anything like it did in the Modern Warfare days, but it's still a very interesting S&D map. I'm looking forward to see how the metagame evolves around it before I form an opinion.
All right, I understand. I love watching Sniper like crosses and whatnot. Skyrise is in that way a little bit. You get top window, you kind of look over and see everyone else. It's a little bit different than how a lot of other search and destroy maps play. A lot of these maps are a lot different, but Goalie, do you have any opinions? I think you have the DLC, right?
Yes, I do have the DLC. I've played it. I don't play it competitively anymore. I don't have time to play the game. I'd love to. But as a viewer, I love it. It's adds like I'm so tired of watching 4 bio lab. I almost called it BioLinks. Oh man,
you might as well call it BioLink.
It's
definitely been called that so much that you might as well call it.
We'll just call it BioLink. But yeah, I'm so tired of watching BioLink that it adds the refreshing. Like obviously, I don't know how it plays. I'm not a pro player. I'm not going to comment on how I think the map plays. I do find it interesting. Oh, now that I say that, I do find it interesting that there's been a lot of nade kills on Skyrise S&D so far. Especially with the exploding canisters everywhere. But as a viewer of the game, it makes it so much more enjoyable to have a new map. Or new maps, I should say.
Yeah, I think I like it as well. I just don't want it to... Right now, it's at the point where you need 2 different map packs. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if we get into that habit, every year you're going to need a $60 game plus 2 $15 map packs, unless you get the season pass. So then it's 100... Or no, that's wrong. How much is it with the season pass? I never paid for the season pass.
It's $4.99.
It's $49.99.
$49. Yeah, sorry.
It's basically $50 for it.
I
Here's
don't know.
a little question for you guys. That might be interesting. Might start some banter in the chat. But do you guys think that this new DLC adding maps in there should have been implemented in Black Ops 2? Because if you remember some of those DLC maps for Black Ops 2, that would have been so much fun to see in the rotation. Uplink is one that was the name of the map. It wasn't a game type then, but Uplink was a remake of one of those maps from Black Ops 1, which was Summit. And Summit S&D was a great one in Black Ops 1 and that I really enjoyed watching. And then Firing Range came back. That would have been fun to see on the rotation. Oh, yeah. So what do you guys think overall? Do you think it should have been implemented sooner? Or what's your thoughts?
This is gonna sound weird. I think the problem with Black Ops 2 is that there were too many good maps. Like we had lots of room to make changes on Black Ops 2. So yeah, it would have been nice to see 1 or 2 DLC maps. But like I said, I don't want it to get to the point where you need so much DLC because it really does add up for people that can't afford it. I obviously don't have that problem. I'm speaking for other people that might.
Yeah, I think it's good also for pro players in a sense. They play the same maps every time, but like May said earlier, you want to have new, fresh maps, but you also want to have maps that can play competitively. Don't put them in there just to put them in there. Put them in there because they're actually helpful. You're gonna have to have both aspects going at the same time. But speaking of Black Ops 2, personally, I like the maps that were in there. I wouldn't have minded adding a few maps here and there, like Fox said. But I think we had a question a couple weeks ago. We were like, what if you could put a map pack together? And 3 out of every 4 person's map pack was full of Black Ops 2, different maps and stuff. I thought it was kind of funny. It was like Express, all these different maps from Black Ops 2 were in everyone's map pack. I thought it was kind of funny. But yeah, overall thoughts on the new DLC maps. From what we've said, we're glad they're in there for the most part. It's pretty exciting, but got to make sure that they're there for the reason of competitive.
Yeah.
You don't put competitive maps in there for no reason.
I like it though. I like having DLC.
Drift S&D.
I like it a lot.
Yeah,
we could still be a little salty about that, but yeah.
Well, that was short-lived, thankfully.
Thankfully, only 1 season and champs. But what we need really is we need an esports DLC pack. Put all the map packs that will only be used in esports.
Vaughn, please, if you're watching this.
Vaughn Dahar, give me Exos, even though they won't be in your next game.
Say that.
Outfits. Say outfits.
Give me team outfits, okay?
Team camos. That'd be great.
Fox looked away when you said Exos. He's just like, no, I'm not.
Oh, in the background. What's up? I apologize. Exos? No, I'm cool on that. We can.
On that note, I think before we get any more extra talk, I think we're gonna take a quick commercial break, guys. When we come back, talking about some season 3, week 1 stats, and also talking about the UMG Dallas Pro points in pools. So we'll see you guys on the other side of goalie. Is it 90 seconds? I always forget.
It's actually 90 seconds of commercials, but because of the MLG recording system, it's 120 seconds. So.
Wow, MLG. Well, there you go.
Well, it's
so you're telling me I've been running? I had no idea. I've been running 120-second commercials.
No. It's because I run a 90-second ad, and then it takes a couple seconds for the recording to get back in, because when it splits the clips for us. So
yeah.
And then I don't have to local record. Saves me some space on my hard drive. So.
Oh, okay.
It's also in higher quality. I don't know, or at least for me.
It is higher quality than my XSplit. Yeah.
It's weird. I don't know how that works, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, we'll see you guys in just a second. Is there a reason for that?
TK.
Oh, is it really?
I don't know.
Well,
that's what it looks like. That's what they're saying. That's what I've seen a couple times. So.
Oh, is it? I just saw black.
I
saw a bunch of, black usernames. I was just curious. I know Goalie's a fan of TK, so probably not too mad about that one. But guys, we're going. I'm going to lay this one out a little bit. We got some season 3, week 1 stats. I didn't fill it in the last topic, but we're going to put this one in here really, really quick and talk about host a little bit, because we have some interesting stats to mention from that as well. So we're going to go over the top 5 KDs from week 1, which are listing, starting off with number 1. It is Octane with a 1.31 KD. Coming in second, it is Temp with a 1.25 KD. And third, it is TJ Halley with a 1.19. Coming in fourth, it is Hook with a 1.15. Coming in third, it is Zuma with a 1.13. And these are the top 5 Slayers from week 1 as well, starting off with Formal with a 36.34 overall kills. Zuma with 35.37. Coming in third is Octane with 34.91. In fourth is TJ Halley with 34.21. And in fifth, it is Temp with 33.89. Now, all these players really have become noticed in this game, in a sense. I've noticed, speaking on a couple of Octane, Temp, Tej, Hook. And I ask you guys, does host really play that big of a factor? Because all these players have been noticed in this game. Why are we not seeing veterans of the Call of Duty scene back in the top 5, in a sense? Now, granted, it is week 1. But why are we seeing all of these younger players in the top 5? Is this game just purely based on slang and connection? That's open to anyone, really, who wants to speak about it. I know it's a hard question.
It's a mixture of a lot of things. I would say that the last 2 Call of Duty titles have heavily favored connections quite a bit. It goes without saying that was just a melt fest. In most cases, and at that particular time, they didn't really have host vetoes necessarily implemented, which is where it should have been implemented. And this one, I just think that it's a mixture of both the movement and the connection together in Unity that can cause a little bit of issues. Sometimes I could be in the same host playing ranked, for example. It's a bad example, but it's just, bear with me here. But you could be in the same exact host, you start the same lobby, but you have a different experience based on what map it's on. Detroit, for example, on Hardpoint in the garage, you'll have a lag spike every once in a while in that particular hill. A lot of things can alter how your slaying happens throughout the map. And if you're vetoing a host, that usually works well for other teammates. You can see other teammates struggle as well. That might be the reason why you see some of those newer names up there and some of those names that you're used to seeing not up there yet.
Right. I got you. Yeah. And with the amount of, the thing is, and also down to your point, you could argue, well, host is a big deal because this player has a better connection. Well, there are way more opportunities to get kills in this game. So that host kind of expands a little bit because you have more opportunities with you on your host. So something to know. But I've seen a lot of pro players arguing, the host veto, like you mentioned, how does that actually work? Is it really that effective? And this is actually a stat from the ESR. I grant it, I took it from the ESR, but they said, does host play that big of a role? And we have some interesting stats about hosting percentages, starting off with Hardpoint. 16-9, 82% win rate for people that actually use hosts. So Hardpoint, definitely the main factor. Like Maze was mentioning, you have more opportunities to get kills. Obviously, 82% win rate for the team that does normally host. For Search and Destroy, a little bit different. It's normally 12 and 11, with a 52% win rate for the team that is hosting. For Uplink, it is 9 and 6 in overall map count, with 60% win rate for the team that does have host. Overall win rate of a team hosting, only 59%. I think that is a crazy stat that I just picked up off the ESR, and I thought that was very interesting. Overall, the team that is hosting only wins 59% of the time. So 60% of the time, that's the only team that is winning as the host team. So I think that's a really good stat. I think that kind of puts to rest, in a sense, anyone who kind of argues host in some way. Are you guys at all surprised by that stat, or do you guys kind of realize in some way? That to me was just really surprising. I don't know if any of you guys had any insight about that.
I think that we can all agree that host in the moment is definitely a big deal. I mean, you can certainly tell when you're playing on a host that isn't good for you. Obviously, your latency is going to be higher, but we have the stats right here. We can spread misinformation all day, but when it's factually right here at the results of week 1, that the win rate is 59%, I think that says a lot. That obviously host is a factor, but is not the end-all be-all. We still see S&D as a solid 12 and 11. I want to see how these statistics carry out throughout week 2, 3, and 4. I want to see how consistent these numbers stay. Right. So, because you also have to remember these are new teams, stuff like that. So let's just see how it goes. I feel like it's a little too early to just take this for what it is. I do certainly believe that people really hype up having host way too much. I feel like whenever a team loses, it's always the host's fault. It's always, we should have vetoed this host, we should have vetoed this host, or we should have taken host for this map, instead of what could we have done differently, or what did they do well. A lot of people just jump to that as their scapegoat.
Well, that's what I was going to say too, Fox, is that when you're playing off host, you have to play a little differently. People forget that sometimes. You have to actually take your time and pre-aim things that you normally wouldn't have to do on host, for example. So it's something that you have to keep in mind, that you can't always play the same map the same way if you're playing off host.
I can agree with that. Especially, I remember I cast a couple times and I was like, oh, this guy's hosting. We're going to hop on board with him because he's hosting. He's a great player. He's only set up for greatness, in some ways. So, yeah, host does play a bit of a factor, but not as much as a lot of people might think. Only 59%, like we mentioned. I think a lot of pro players might think that actually might be higher, but like we said, thank you to COD Stats for also providing all of these. You can follow them at COD_stats. But now it is time to transition over to some UMG Dallas news. In a sense, we have some pro points to mention. The top 16 teams in a certain range of how they are working with pro points. I know Goalie has this graphic. Guys, Goalie makes amazing graphics. He makes these all the time, and he makes them look absolutely beautiful. But we're going to look at the top 16 teams in pro point totals. These teams will be obviously laid out in some form across the pools.
In totals, we have top 8 overall, and then the top 16 from qualification.
You want to show the top 6? Which one do you want to show?
Let's go top 8 first.
Right.
Top 8 first, because these are the teams that are 100% going through, because I don't think any of these teams might have different rosters or might change their roster before
they have
Dallas.
like an hour left.
Yeah.
They don't have so much time left. I know you said you wanted to work out how the pro points are going to work. I know you mentioned that to me in some way. I don't know if you want to touch on that in some sense.
Okay, yeah. So how pro points work for Dallas? It's very fun. It's the same format as it's worked for the previous UMGs for both Orlando and Cali, but it's the top 8 overall from pro points qualify into the first top slots of every pool of all 4 pools, and then you take the top 16 overall pro points teams, whatever, I can't say it now.
I know what you mean.
And then the top 8 from the overall, or from the top, you take the top 8 from the May 30th to June 6th pro points. The top 8 from those that aren't already qualified will fill out the bottom 2 slots in each group.
Okay.
And then we have an open bracket team coming in too for each pool.
Okay.
It seems fair. It honestly seems fair. It's based on the current performance, which is the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot, to be honest with you. But
So was it Cali?
Yep.
Right.
It was.
Yeah. I do appreciate that, though. You appreciate skill for overall the game and also from recent performances as well. But there is one team who will not be in the actual pools, and that's kind of a surprise to me. It's actually a league team. Orbit will not be in any of these definite pools. They will be going through the open bracket, which is kind of interesting. Has that ever happened before?
By the way, I want to mention all of our pools are unofficial as of right now.
Right. They're unofficial, but based on how previous events have worked, right?
Based on previous events have worked and a roster change that possibly might have not happened yet. These are how the pools are. The unofficial pools will work. So.
Right. But one team that could but isn't necessarily. It could be Orbit. And I want to ask you guys, if that does happen, if an open bracket team, or if a team that isn't in Pro League is in the open bracket, has that ever happened before? Because I'm curious. I don't know if that's ever happened in any sense.
If it's happened, it hasn't happened recently. It's usually at least the system is a little bit different now, so I could see it happening more recently now. But definitely in the past, I don't think it's ever happened just because it was a different system in place. So people had more pro points, floating around than they do now because it's very immediate. But I'm still surprised to not see Orbit there. That's what really is shocking to me, that Orbit is not there, and there's some other teams that you're scratching your head wondering how are they there and Orbit's not. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's interesting to see.
I understand what you mean, man. But and by the way, guys, these pro points, like we said, will in some way be divided amongst how Goulet explained it over at the pools. Now we're gonna head over to the pools actually and kind of see how they work out. But like I said, all these points will be divided amongst how these pools work. A little bit of the UMG pool rules, which we will be speaking on. Top 4 from open bracket will be placed in these pools. So each open bracket team, based on wherever you place, will be placed in each pool after matches have already taken place. There will be 5 team per pool. So I think there's 4 brackets or 4 pools. So there will be 5 teams per pool. Top 2 from each pool will move on to the winners bracket, and the bottom 3 from each pool will move on to the losers bracket. So it's kind of interesting to note, but we actually have the unofficial list. These are unofficial, so keep that in mind, of the UMG Dallas pools. Goulet, do you have those up by chance?
Yes, they are.
Can you repeat that for me, please? The bottom 3 from the pools. Can you repeat that?
Yeah,
entire
okay.
part, please?
So how it works is the top 2 from each pool will move on to winners bracket, and then the bottom 3 from each pool will move down to losers bracket. Now their placing in the pool will determine where they end up in losers bracket.
Okay, thank you.
So
I don't know what I heard.
Yeah, so like the 5th place team in pools will end in the round of 24 of losers bracket, and then like the 4th place would end in the round of 20. So
right, you also got to throw in those open bracket teams as well. But I think we're time to go ahead and head over to the pools. Goalie, is that?
They're already on screen, man.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
They've been on screen for a while.
Throwing surprises at me. Gosh, I'm sorry. I don't have the stream always open, but we're gonna talk about Pool A. I do have it in the document if you guys want to look at it and see. But we're gonna do some predictions for each pool. Who do we think will move on? By the way, like we said, top 2 from these pools will move on to the winners bracket. Bottom 3 will move on to the losers bracket. Now I know the open bracket team isn't necessarily decided yet, but you can kind of just imagine how previously they've done. I know it's a little bit hard, but we have to work with what we got for right now. But I'm going to go ahead and go over to Fox for his Pool A predictions. Now, you can list your top 2. You don't have to list your bottom 3 in any specific order. Obviously, they'll all be in the losers bracket, but you can, position them any way you want to. But for Pool A, consisting of Optic Gaming, Envy, XGN, Dunkin' No Donuts, and open bracket team. Keep in mind, guys, these are not official. But Fox, your predictions for Pool A.
I think I'd be a fool to choose anything other than Optic and Envy being your top 2. What is XGN's new roster? That's now Spacely and Study, right? They moved from SB. Is that what the move is recently?
That is Spacely, Study, and Killa, and the unannounced 4th.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty safe to say that they're not going to beat either Envy or Optic, being such a new squad and how well we've seen Optic and Envy perform. Very simple to say that they're going to be your top 2 in that pool.
I got you on that one. By the way, do you know who Dunkin' No Donuts' roster is?
Actually, I do. Let me pull it up. Dunkin' No Donuts is make sure I say these names right. Durpin, it looks like Elevate, but he has like Alleviate, Human Jesus, and Nova.
Human Jesus.
I've seen Human Jesus before as well.
The best name ever.
And he's good online, but I don't think he's gonna do that well in that pool. But who's next on the pool predictions?
You can go next. No, you're fine. You can go ahead and go next. Your top 2.
All right. So here, obviously, Optic Gaming comes out first in the pool. Team Envy comes out second. And I'm going to go as far as to say that the order remains the same. XGN is going to be 3rd, and Dunkin' No Donuts comes out in the 4th. And that pool is very easy for predictions, in my opinion. XGN, really new roster. Dunkin' No Donuts, a roster that, even though they're players that do have talent there, they're not going to be able to match up very, very effectively in that particular pool. So That's my prediction for sure. Just like you see it there on screen, makes it easy for
All
me.
right. Pretty easy just down the line. But goalie, do you have your predictions for Pool A?
Optic and Envy, unless depending on whoever the open bracketed team is. Like if
Right.
we saw Orbit drop in this pool,
That's
I
true.
could see Orbit definitely taking second place over Envy.
Yeah.
So, and then if Optic Gaming has that slow day one performance like they always do in pool play, who knows what will happen. But
Orbit and Envy are currently tied in Pro League. They're both 2-1, so could be a pretty even matchup if they were to meet. Could possibly be a pretty big factor. But for my predictions for Pool A, I'm basically the same way as everyone else. I can't go off a prediction for open bracket teams, unfortunately, but I'm gonna have to agree. Optic Gaming, a pretty strong team nonetheless. Probably going to make it out of this pool, no doubt. And Envy also a pretty good roster. I really like that team a lot. Octane is a freak of nature. Very talented player as well. So with that in mind, Optic and Envy basically our top predictions for Pool A to move out. Bottom three will move on to the losers bracket in our opinion. So next for Pool B, I'm going to start myself off. I'm going to put myself on the spotlight for this one. Pool B consisting of FaZe, Rise Nation, Enigma 6, Rod Squad, and the open bracket team. Now, Rise Nation recently made some trades. Gunjar no longer on this squad, and they have recently acquired TCM. For me personally, I think Enigma 6 is a very, very good team. FaZe, by the way, I think is going to move on there in my top three. So I have FaZe moving on, obviously. But I think Enigma 6 is a very talented roster. I've seen them constantly beat very good Pro League teams in the scrims. I've been watching their streams a lot, and they seem to have very good chemistry with each other. And that new addition of Proofy could also help in some way. Proofy hasn't had the best game thus far, but he's also a veteran. He knows what he's doing. So I'm going to say FaZe Clan and Enigma 6, in my opinion, will move on from Pool B. I'm going to go ahead and head on over to Maze for his Pool B predictions as well.
Okay, so obviously FaZe is definitely on one of my top three. To come out of that pool, they have to come out first. I do think Enigma 6 will take that second spot over Rise. I just don't see Rise being able to make too much noise in Dallas. I don't see it happening all that much. No disrespect to TCM, I think he's a good player, but it's just an interesting roster change there. Because I do think that Gunjar would have fared quite well for Rise at LAN. Obviously, online it's a different story, and it's a big issue there. But I do have to say that's how it's going to end up with Enigma 6. Another thing that I noticed about Enigma 6, I think that is worth mentioning, is that Proofy hasn't had a bad AW. He just hasn't had a team that has been able to mesh with him that well. Yep. He has been... it lights out when you watch how his movement is, how his bow work is. He's actually a very good player in this game. He just doesn't get in the spotlight all that much because he's not winning with the teams he's on. And I think that's a little unfair. Same thing can be said about Parasite. I think he's been very, very good in AW. S&D has been his game type for sure. But Parasite has a way of finding himself on new rosters very often. So it can cause some issues there. But overall, I don't think that the newer roster for Enigma 6 is going to really affect them all that much. I think they should be able to beat out Rise Nation. Of course, Rod Squad, I think, will finish fourth in their pool, of course, depending on what the open bracket team's going to be. Mm-hmm. But that's my overall pick for Pool B. Man, those next pools are pools of death. They both could very easily be pools
the first pools, it was like, okay, this team, that team. The next one, it's like, oh, gosh. But Fox, your predictions for Pool B, my friend.
All right, for Pool B, I'm going to put FaZe up top. I think it's a pretty solid roster, no doubt about it. I want to see Clan Attach destroy some things with their new roster. I see Enigma 6 actually over Rise Nation. I definitely do see that. I do see FaZe and E6 coming out of your top two there. I think Rise right now is just all over the place. It's four players that had no intentions of playing with each other on the first day of the league. You know, it's just kind of a roster that has to throw everything together at the last second, whereas all these other teams were clearly, they were in control of who they wanted on their team. And I don't know, maybe Rise could pull something out of the butt and surprise everybody. We'll see. We'll see how they perform. But for me, I'm going to say my top two are going to be FaZe and an E6.
I gotcha on that one. Goalie, your predictions for Pool B. We've all been similar. We've said FaZe and E6. You got anything different?
I want to see Rod Squad take first place. No, I'm joking.
No,
But so that
yeah.
you guys know who Rod Squad is, we got Nelson, Assault, Wolf, and Ken. I really like Assault and Wolf.
Yeah, Assault and Wolf, for those of you guys who don't know, are from the Below Zero roster. They played at North American Regionals earlier this year.
And was Assault on? No, they dropped Assault after or before going to UGC, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
They played with that roster at Champs, though.
Yes, they did.
So they didn't drop it until after Champs.
But yeah, I'm gonna say the same thing as you guys did. FaZe and Rise, or did anyone say Enigma 6 in top 2?
We all said Enigma 6.
I think we all did.
Oh, you guys did? Oh, I see. Yes. I see Rise taking it. I'd like to see Enigma 6 in the top 2. But I haven't. I've never. Well, I haven't seen Enigma 6 play. That's honestly the fair answer.
I've just been in Parasite streams. That's the only reason why I've been able.
Like
to
I've never.
I haven't seen them play with Proofy. I've been seeing them play with other people, and I think that's a pretty solid squad.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, I think who was it? They were playing against Denial, and they had like 120-second lead in a solar hardpoint, and by the time the second rotations came around, Denial came back and beat them. I think I was casting that match at 10K, and I was like, what are you doing wrong? That was when they had Study, I think. Study was their villain that day.
Yeah, they've used a lot of villains.
What ended up happening was they missed all their rotations. STiKS, I think you hit the nail on the head on that one. They had such a good lead that they became complacent, and they thought they could break kills, and they couldn't, and they ended up dropping that one. So, yeah, but I do think that M. Ruiz being swapped out for Proofy is a good thing overall.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I believe they also played. I think they used Lacefield yesterday. I'm pretty sure in the 5K. The 5K the other day.
Yes.
And he's a very good player as well. They went pretty far. They ended up losing, but unfortunately. But yeah, the Rod Squad actually pulled off something pretty good last night. Very good team. They ended up taking out teams like TCM, Elevate, DT, and almost beat Epsilon. They lost in Game 5. I believe it was round 11. I cast it. I don't even remember. I think it was round 11 anyway.
Dude, I do that sometimes too. Like,
yeah,
you ask me the day of, I can tell you everything about that damn tournament. Right. But
go to sleep, wake up. It's like, what happened? No, I'm just kidding.
Somebody won it. I don't know.
Yeah, the Rod Squad they have capabilities, but
Optic Clan, someone.
Right. But for the most part, we think it's gonna be FaZe and Enigma 6. Goalie thinking Rise Nation. But still, we have a lot of picks. Moving on to Pool C. I would argue Pool C and Pool D both very difficult. I personally think Pool D is maybe well, it's hard. It's really hard to predict. I think Pool C has a certain amount where you can argue, but Pool D has teams that are very similar. I think that all could place in certain ways. But moving on to Pool C, our predictions. One of the groups of death, I guess you could argue. I'm going to start off with Goalie. Goalie, your predictions for Pool C, your top 2 at least, making out of that pool. I know, I start off with you. I just had to give you the fire on that one.
Okay. Denial should hands down take Pool C without a doubt. Yeah. I'd personally, after seeing how ISO played at the relegation tournament and how TK's roster has been pretty inconsistent lately, I'm gonna place ISO taking the second place in the pool, and then TK and VVV finishing out 3rd and 4th. Man, I really liked and enjoyed watching ISO play at the relegation tournament, and I think they can do a lot here. So that's basically my prediction for this pool: Denial and ISO. Gotcha. Yeah.
It's a hard pool. I mean, I don't think anyone's gonna be like, "Oh, you should have chose this team," because it
is a hard pool.
I don't think really anyone can judge someone else because of the pool of death. You know, it's really hard to predict. But I'm gonna move on to Maze for his predictions for Pool C.
All right, let's see what we got for Pool C. This is an interesting one for sure. Denial should come out first. There's no doubts about that. The reason why I'm so confused as to why this one. All right, let me explain myself here. Team Caliber, the roster that they have has a very big possibility of doing fantastic. It just depends what team shows up. Mm-hmm. I know that sounds like a cop-out answer, but these guys have teamed up together before, and they complement each other's playstyle quite well. And Nameless, I personally think, is a better Val player than Gunjar was. So all that added together, it's very possible that they could beat Isolation for that second spot. So I would have to go with just the veteran leadership of Sharp, and then having some of his old teammates come back there, maybe have that communication back there. If Neslo plays nice, I love Jeremy, but he's just got to make sure he plays nice. I do think for a fact, I think that Team Caliber will come out on the second spot there. Isolation should easily take out VVV and make that third spot there. But yeah, that pool is difficult to call, but definitely I would say the top three from there would be Denial, Caliber, and of course Isolation for those.
Gotcha. Pretty even thus far. A little bit of changes back and forth. But Fox, your predictions for Pool C?
For Pool C, I feel like some stuff that might have gone missed is that we've already seen TK beat Denial in the league. We've also already seen TK lose to ISO in the league. So, whereas I feel like we all agree that Denial is a stronger team and more consistent team than Team Caliber could be, that TK has already proven us wrong. They can beat Denial. I just want to see if they can do that again on LAN, which I'm sure that'll be a very similar matchup. Still, I just want to see how that's going to be. So, really, it's tough for me to say. I want to say Denial is definitely going to make it out in the top two. I feel like that's my 100% like a given that they're going to make it through. And then this next spot is either going to be between TK and ISO. I don't think VVV with that's Fears, Legal, John, and Felony. VVV, right? Yeah, I mean, I don't see that. I don't see that doing too much to the likes of Denial and TK. It's certainly not ISO. So I'm gonna go Denial, either TK and ISO. I'm just gonna pick TK because I don't want to sit here and have a halfway answered question. Denial and TK up top, but maybe ISO instead of TK. We'll see.
I got you.
I just think that's something we need to remember is that TK has beaten Denial.
I got you, man. For me personally, predictions for Pool C, I definitely have Denial making out a very, very good team, in my opinion. Two of some of the youngest, best players we have in the game, Hook and Temp, both in the top KDs for this first week one of Season 3 Pro League. Also, I forgot to mention, but I didn't know if you guys knew or not, Isolation Empire is going with a new fourth for this tournament only. GodRX is filling back in. I forgot to mention that. I don't know why I didn't mention that to you guys, but so GodRX will be filling in. It's going to be a little bit different for them, so they're going to have a little bit of a new roster, but they have played with him in the past.
Excuse me. Can I say something really quick? I just realized I had that completely backwards.
You're fine.
TK lost to Denial, and they beat ISO, so I'm so sorry.
Okay. No, you're fine.
You're
good.
That up.
You're good.
I apologize.
No, you're fine.
Ruiz is still on E6. I know. Sorry, my bad. Correction for me too.
No. Everyone has little
it happens,
tidbits here and
guys.
there. Yeah.
Just deal with it.
Everyone's perfect. Don't you guys know that? God, we're all perfect.
That's right, L-Dog. Let him know.
That's right. No one's ever called me that before. Friends at school used to call me that, but yeah, L-Dog. You guys can call me that from now on if you want to, man. But for me personally, Denial, I think will definitely make it out of the first pool. Like I said, great young slayers on this team. I think they have the capabilities of doing so. ISO versus TK to me is the main matchup. Who moves on and in what order? I like ISO a lot. GodRX is a very good young player. I wouldn't say young, but he's a very good player. Team Caliber, to me, with a new roster, I mean, they played with these guys in the past. Nameless is really the only one that's not the original squad. Goonjar was on the original one, but I think TK might just have the advantage a little bit. I'm a person that really focuses on chemistry. I really think that's kind of overlooked in some way. Team Caliber's played with almost just about every single player on this roster. While ISO has this same roster a little bit, they've added a new person, and it's like normally I would have said TK has the disadvantage in chemistry because they've just added 2 players rather than 1. But Team Caliber's played with these 2 guys in the past. It's gonna be interesting how Nameless works with them. But I'm gonna say TK. I feel like that's gonna be my only wrong prediction thus far. But I'm gonna say TK makes it out. I like ISO a lot, but I just feel like they're gonna be a little bit on their edge with the new player and how well they've been doing. But Pool C, that is our predictions for that one. We have one pool left. Pool D. This one's gonna be pretty tough. I'm not gonna lie.
That's where it gets interesting.
This is where.
Start us off, Landon. I know you want to so badly. Go for it, man.
I had myself listed as going first, but oh man, Pool D. I'll list you guys off if you guys already can't see. Pool D consisting of Elevate, Optic Nation, TCM, and Epsilon.NA, and also an open bracket team. I can't really speak on the open bracket team. Epsilon, a very good team. I've seen them do a little bit. Not the best. They were obviously in the finals of the 5K yesterday, but excluding Optic Gaming from that, in a sense, they had a little bit of problems. But speaking on TCM, not my favorite roster either. Optic Nation has looked very good as of late. And Elevate, really that team who I haven't really seen do that well. Also, they've been kind of figuring out that extra SMG or that extra BAL, who's going to be running it. All of them are obviously SMG players. Who is going to run that one for sure? I have not really enjoyed watching Elevate. Epsilon versus Elevate to me is the main factor of who kind of comes out of this one, along with ON. I like Elevate's roster a lot. I'm just gonna say Elevate. I'm gonna say Elevate and Optic Nation coming out of this pool. I like Epsilon a lot. Do not get me wrong. I think Epsilon's a very talented roster. Whenever I look at the Elevate team, I'm like, how can these guys not be good, even though they have that problem with the bounce? So for me personally, I'm gonna say Elevate and Optic Nation make it out of this pool. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say.
That's such a tough one, Landon. I commend you for your picks. I really do.
I'm gonna move on to I'll move on to you, Maze, for your predictions for Pool D.
It's because I put you on the bubble.
I know, man. I just sent it back to you.
No, it's all good. I understand. I was thinking about it the whole way through. Elevate is a good squad, but I know this is gonna sound weird, but I really do like Epsilon a lot in this pool. I don't think they're getting a lot of credit for how they played in relegation. I think they played fantastic in relegation, and I think Royalty has a distinct advantage at LAN, and that's because he plays on such a high sensitivity that enables him to react real time as opposed to having any latency with online connections or something like that. And it showed in relegation. The guy's a savage. He runs free, and it's like just an absolute monster. I think that Epsilon could beat TCM. I'm sorry, Fox, what was that?
No, I'm listening. I'm thinking out loud for some reason. I'm trying to hear you have to say.
A little bit though, right? You kind of see.
It's different,
I don't know.
man.
No, go ahead. I want to hear you have to say.
Tough. It's so tough. I do think that Optic Nation should be able to be okay and come out first in the pool. And I think Epsilon might come out second. Of course, I might shoot myself in the foot because TCM has TP and Aches, and they've got Jerd, and they've got Moose. Moose was a little inconsistent at times, though. So he might be a little bit of a liability. But overall, I think I'm just going to stick with my final answer. It's going to be Optic Nation and Epsilon, in my personal opinion.
All right.
That's a pool of death. All right. I'm done with
I can't wait to see those games go down. That's going to be very entertaining
it's gonna be insane
to watch and maybe even cast over. But I'm going to go over to Fox, your predictions for Pool D.
Yeah, like you guys just said, this is a very difficult pool to predict upon. For me, I really don't see Epsilon doing too much, as we've already seen. They get that Swift 3-0 recently at the bottom of the league right now. I really saw them performing very well in the league when they got through relegation, but they have not shown that they're the same team that was playing at relegation. So I'm going to count them out of my top two. I think it's going to be Optic Nation 100%. They have shown that they, with that pickup of Mochilla, that's exactly what they needed to get that extra boost. This is going to be a strong team. I talked about their stats and everything a little bit earlier in the show, Imbos and Mochilla specifically. Yeah. I think that's going to be a strong team. I don't think your point on Epsilon was Royalty. I don't know if that's enough for them. I don't know. I think they're going to be in the bottom three, and I think that these teams, I think that TCM could certainly beat Epsilon. Elevate could certainly beat Epsilon, even with that bow problem. That we could actually, now that I think about it, I definitely think that Elevate Epsilon series would be very difficult to predict. So I'm just going to go Optic Nation, Elevate in my top two, and I think that it's going to be pretty clear that we're not going to see Epsilon in the top two.
Mm-hmm. I gotcha. Yeah, it's very close. There's just like 4 or 5 teams. Or not 4, but there's just so many teams you could add and think of certain reasons. But something I know, Royalty.
You can say TCM if you want, because they've only gotten to play one league match. We've only seen scrims from them, right?
That's true. That is true. New roster also, but very good duos on that team. Jerd's a Don, as we all know, but. And also, I noticed something that really surprised me a little bit about Royalty. I love him, by the way. He's an amazing player. He's one of my favorite players to watch. 12 sensitivity, no scuff, no claw. Like I said, I have no excuse to not be bad anymore. But Royalty, to me, he actually had a lower KD than Swanee, which kind of surprised me. I thought Royalty would have been one of the higher KDs, just watching the teams that we saw at the relegation tournament. Didn't have the highest KD. That doesn't mean anything. In a sense, KD does matter, but you can also take in the fact that what kills he got and whatnot. But still, Goalie, we're going to head it over to you for your predictions from Pool D, your top two. Who do you think are going to make it out?
Well, I can predict top or bottom or the fourth place pretty easily, which is TCM in my opinion. But yeah,
It's a tough one, man. I know.
It's so stupid.
It really is.
I think I'm gonna like roll a little bit with Maze that I think Royalty is gonna show up again on LAN. He hasn't been performing that well online, but I don't know if his host has been vetoed or not. But he's in Western Canada, isn't he?
Yeah, I believe he is in Western Canada.
Yeah.
Who is right now?
Royalty.
Royalty.
So
That sucks.
and
Whenever Royalty got host the other day, he immediately dropped like 45 kills. So it was like, oh man. But go ahead, goalie. Sorry.
With Epsilon right now in the online league, they're spread all over the place. They're gonna do terrible online. I'd like to see what they do again on LAN though. That Nation and Elevate, dude. I have no freaking clue, man.
It's so tough.
It's impossible. That's the best way to put it. It depends on who wins that game of round 11. So, you know what? Yeah. I'm just going to throw some gamma in the air, and I'm going to go with Team Elevate and in first place.
Throw gamma in the air. Please
throw some gamma in the air, you know, and I just threw my... just almost knocked my my mic. I wish I captured that on screen.
That wasn't as graceful as I had imagined. What happened?
I kind of threw it up. Well, I'm sitting down in a chair, and I threw it up, and it just hit my mic, and it's like, well, oh well.
It didn't sound graceful. I just heard a couple thuds.
Yeah. So.
I'm just excited to see this pool. Man.
I'm gonna just toss a. Yeah, I have no clue. I'm gonna say Elevate first place just because they're sponsored by Gamma Labs, and Optic Nation's gonna take third because they're sponsored by Red Bull, and Epsilon has no affiliation with either. I'm gonna say so. They're gonna take second.
It's all in the drink, boys.
It's all in the drink.
That's true. Oh man, I like that logic, but I can't agree with it, unfortunately.
That's true.
Because Red Bull gives you wings. All right, let's be honest.
It's gonna be so difficult, man.
They can fly around the net, man. They're gonna have extra abilities. I'm telling you. Now,
my thought process, though. Sorry to interject here, but
you're fine.
My thought process with Epsilon and TCM was just solely based on practice, and map and win losses. I think that in the league, they're literally just a map away from being in the position that Elevate is in. If you think of it, it's a one map difference. If I looked at the stats correctly, it looked like one of them was 5-8 and the other one was 5-9. Yeah, Team Elevate was 5-8, so they had a 33% win percentage there. And then Epsilon is obviously 0-3, but 5-9 is so close. It's just something that will really change on LAN, in my opinion.
Yeah,
that's why I picked them over Elevate. In my opinion.
Elevate has beaten Epsilon before, and I am reading my notes properly this time. Elevate did beat Epsilon. I'm not reading this backwards this time. My notes are correct. So that's why I'm definitely putting Elevate over Epsilon. So dude, they've already shown us to beat them. You know?
Yeah, they have. Anything can happen. It's Pool D because it stands for Pool of Death. That's why.
It's Advanced Warfare. Anything can happen. We've seen crazy stuff.
Yeah, there's also a Game 5. I don't know. I'm excited to see how this event goes because, I mean, obviously there's a lot of different factors that come into play right now, like all the brand new DLC maps and Recovery coming back, all these new rosters. So Recovery is a toss-up for no matter what team goes against the other. You're either going to see huge landslide victory in Recovery, or you're going to see a very close match like round 10, round 11, stuff like that. So I'm excited to see how they prepare for this when it comes to Dallas.
Has that been confirmed, though, by the way? The new maps?
We're not using any of the DLC stuff, but Recovery will be there.
Recovery will be
there. Okay, thank you. I was just going to ask the same question.
Because I was pretty sure they weren't using DLC, but yeah.
Still not even Drift, man. I wish we could see DLC at UMG. I'd love to see unified game modes and everything across all tournament organizations.
Be wonderful.
I agree. It would be good.
Be a good, sight to see these guys playing these maps for the first time on LAN, but fortunately won't be. But goalie, do you have a chance, or have you had the graphic time? I know you've been trying to be on the show and making the graphics. Do you have a time to show our top predictions for UMG Dallas? Or
if you give me literally, if you can fill for just a minute, I will have at least them down for a couple of people. So.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to open up with a joke because I saw this on Twitter the other day. Okay. Okay. All right. If two vegetarians are arguing, does that mean they have beef? But
oh my God, no.
I'm trying my best here. I'm really trying My absolute best.
So when's your
only have
stand-up
Tofu.
special, Landon? When's that happening?
What's that?
When's your stand-up special, Landon?
Yeah, I know. That was the only joke I saw on Twitter today. I didn't really know. I mean, we could try to fill. I'm just trying to waste time until goalie is ready. But how's everyone's day been so far? Everyone's day been good?
Solid,
It's
man.
good.
This is
nice
some
4-hour
okay.
live. Okay, cool. Goalie's got something.
Okay.
Alright.
Landon, I need your top 3. The graphic's gonna be a little messed up, but you know what? We'll screw it.
I put mine in the chat already.
Yes,
Put it
but
back.
you need to at least say them, and then I will post them on air. You know, you can talk, right? That's speaking.
Yes, but
speaking
are we gonna go in
language.
order, or are we just all gonna go in the same?
You're
order?
going first, okay? And you're just
Landon
gonna.
is going first. My top 3 predictions for UMG Dallas. I will be there, so that'll be kind of fun. But I'm predicting Envy to come in third, starting off lowest to highest. I'm gonna have Envy coming in third. I think they're a really good team, not a young roster, but kind of a new roster through Roster Mania. I like their team a lot. I don't think a lot of people are counting on them to do well. They're kind of my surprise team. I think they can go far. They have that motivation. I think they can do some work. I'm really happy J-Cap's on that team, and I just have so much faith in Octane and Aqua to do well. That like Octane is just a freak of nature. I don't know why I love him so much, but he's so good. Either way, I'm gonna say Envy comes in third place. I'm gonna have FaZe in second. I think FaZe is definitely the second best team in the game for right now. Such a consistent team. Watching them in the 5K, I really got to like get a little bit of insight to me. I don't really get a chance to cast these teams that I watch every day. But to me, FaZe, a very, very good roster, very solid team as well. And you can't, like, I was watching the 5K throughout the entire tournament, and it is online, but it was like, who do you focus on? It's like, well, Enable went off at times. He dropped almost 50 kills at one point. Zuma dropped the 46 bomb and a couple hard points as well. There isn't like that one guy you focus on and say, that's the star of the team. That's who we need to focus on. And I think that's why FaZe is so good. And first, obviously, I'm going to have Optic Gaming. Optic's one of the most strongest teams that we've ever seen in Call of Duty. Looking very dominant thus far. I think they're going to get another LAN. And yeah, that's my top 3 predictions. And I'm going to head on over to Mr. Goalie for his predictions.
I don't have my predictions ready, and right now my Photoshop has crashed. So just give me a minute, okay?
Who is next?
Okay.
Who is next that you have ready?
I have Maze ready in a second. So.
All right.
All right, well, I'll dive right in, and I think that I'll do the same format you use. I enjoyed that format. 3-1. I do think Denial will come third in this tournament. I think they should do fine in that aspect. That roster seems to be doing quite well. They deserve a little bit of credit for their performances online, but I think it'll carry over decently well on LAN as well. FaZe would be the second best team in almost everyone's opinion. I think that they're looking really good. One thing that I wanted to talk a little bit about FaZe is that I really, really am confident about this roster just because all the roles seem to fit very, very well. Because Clayster obviously is more versatile than he gets credit for because he can break a hill with a bow, which is something that not a lot of players can do. Only Krim and him seem to do it more regularly. So it should be interesting to see that. And then Zuma's aggression, because Zuma is just so aggressive, even on SMB.
Yeah.
And it works well with this team. It works very well with this team because you can have Clayster, backing him up, taking care of him at a longer distance while he runs around. And then, of course, Enable has been playing very hit and miss online, I think. But I think it should be fine on LAN. So definitely they should be fine. Second place, I think, is what they'll finish at. And then Optic Gaming should finish first. I don't see them losing anytime soon. They're making a little bit of a dynasty with the teams that they've got right now, and it's exciting to see. I know a lot of people that aren't fans of Optic would disagree, but I do wish Team Caliber and Envy well as well. I think they will finish top 8, but definitely those are my top 3.
I gotcha. Yeah, I'm gonna head over to Fox for your top 3 predictions as well. I think Goalie has that one ready.
Yeah, that's all ready to go.
So my top 3 prescription
medicines, ladies and gentlemen.
Prediction. It doesn't tell the whole story, right? I said Optic, FaZe, Denial, but I wanted to slip Envy in there somewhere, and I really should have. Now that I look back on it, because when I was making this list, I couldn't decide where I wanted to put Denial and FaZe. I definitely wanted them in the top 4, of course, with Optic and Envy. But I was looking at their performances. I mean, we saw we saw well, let's see what was it? I have this written down here. The team Envious obviously brought Optic Gaming to Game 5, right before they lost. FaZe did get 3-0, but the matches were close. So I'm looking at it as like, how did these teams perform? Like for them to get their wins and their placements right now, how did they get there? So Denial, although they are 2-0 in the league and FaZe has won once, they played the same amount of matches. Look at the teams that Denial beat. Denial beat Rise and TK, which are two teams I feel like is a given. You should say that, then you should assume that Denial will beat them, right? And now we look at FaZe. They lost to Optic Gaming for their one loss. Come on. Like, if you're going to lose to someone, it better be Optic Gaming, right? And they beat Elevate. So it was really tough for me to make this list. I should have put Envy in here somewhere, but I do think that it's a pretty solid top 3 that I have right here. Optic Gaming 100% is going to be in first, but for second, third, and fourth, it's going to entirely depend on how they prepare for that day.
I gotcha. I like the list. I like the thought behind it as well. The stats, always Fox coming at us with them. But Goalie, I know you might not have your graphic. If you do, you're a Don, but if you don't, it's all right. You have your...
Well, I do have my graphic, but I don't know if you guys should take this graphic seriously. Okay. So I'm gonna send the guys in the call a screenshot right now, so that actually, you know what? Yeah. Oh, no, wait, no push.
Guys, we'll be right back.
No. Okay. So the guys in the chat, I sent you guys my top 3 overall predictions, and yeah, I think that all 3 of these teams are gonna do absolutely amazing.
Well, I never want to see anything like this again.
Goalie at Goalie with 2 E's TV, by the way.
I want you to put this on stream. I want everyone. I want
it is on stream right now.
Sent me.
So, it is on stream. So
where's Pink Wall?
The Pink Wall. Hey, we
Bittersweet.
Bittersweet
for sure.
I should have had Bittersweet on this list, 100%.
Where's Obey? Where's Obey?
I almost wish you put 4 teams in your top 3.
Where's Obey? We haven't found them in a little while.
Yeah. But in all honesty, out of all the teams that
I'm really upset that doesn't even say men. Like, you couldn't even spell
it says men.
Yeah, I thought that was actually better that he put men.
I did too. They might need meds.
They might need meds.
What were you thinking when you did this?
I was making this as fast as possible. And yeah, so that's my top 3 predictions. Let me do the spell check right there, quick on stream. So
good. Old Med of Optic. I think it suffices. They're old. They need meds. Perfectly fits for me. But guys, I think we're going to take a quick commercial break. If Goalie is ready for that, I hope. I know he's been kind of stressed doing the graphics. He's also the producer of the show, as you can probably tell by his eyes being all over the screen. But guys, we'll take a quick commercial break. We'll be returning with some questions from Twitter. We'll see you guys on the other side of however many seconds it takes. We're not going to have a discussion about it. We'll see you guys in a second. Let's make sure. On some questions from Twitter, actually. We just got our meds, and we're doing pretty well.
I'm freshly medicated. Good to go. Oh, yeah, blame me.
Fox is the problem. Fox,
whatever, dude.
I thought it was a good correlation, and I think you guys should stick to it. I think that's what it should go to.
I agree. I think if we ever have like the top moments in STiKS history, that one is definitely on that list for sure. Top 5 fills of the week. Getting ready to come out. I'm just kidding, Goalie. I'm just messing with you. No, we love Goalie. We're heading on to our first question from Twitter. It actually comes from We Support Optic. Pretty cool name, I must say.
Yeah.
I'm Betty supports Optic. Not gonna lie. 8 asks, can we expect to see the STiKS form a COD team and compete at an event for Black Ops 3? Now, we've actually been serious about this. We've actually said that we might go to an open bracket. Obviously, we're not gonna have enough pro points, but is the STiKS going to form a team for Black Ops 3? I know it could be on the PS4. We don't know what console it's going to be on for sure yet.
It's going to be on PS4, dude. Right, I think at this point.
Another topic for another show?
Yeah, another topic.
Goalie,
are you going to play? If we have a STiKS team, are you going to play?
Homie, me and Hitch are co-captains. And by the way, chat, I'm sorry. I know I was muted. I apologize. It happens. That's why I'm not supposed to be on the damn show. But I'm here. Yeah.
By the way,
do a great job.
If it's on PS4, I will try to play because I've been playing on PlayStation the entire time that everyone's been on Xbox. But if it is on Xbox, I think I should provide myself with the coaching role if those do return. I'm another Mr. X over here. I just got to shave my head, and I think I can play that role pretty well. But to answer the question, can we expect to see a STiKS team form at an event in Black Ops 3. I think honestly we actually might. I know we've been in discussion in the past. If we can have all of us go to a certain one, I'm sure we can maybe get a team pass and get ourselves going. But to answer the question, probably. I always like to do those. But moving on to question number 2, coming from D-Fish, aka Fish House. I think that's how you say their name. They ask, after seeing OG beat FaZe 3-0 last week, is FaZe still the only real contender for Optic Gaming? I'm just open to anyone who wants to answer it. I thought it was a pretty good question. Pretty good question, I guess you could say. Anyone think that that is a true statement?
Your opinion.
FaZe, the only real contender for Optic Gaming. From what we've seen, I think FaZe has really been the kryptonite for Optic in the games that they actually have lost. Obviously, the Columbus Open went to FaZe. Completely different roster. I totally understand that. But I think when you match up, FaZe and Optic Gaming, FaZe to me is definitely the second best team in the game for right now. You could add different teams in that list based on what you've seen. But the real contender for OG, I think anyone has... I hate to say the fact that, well, anyone could beat anyone else on any given day. Optic Gaming is an insanely strong team. I think if they were to have a contender against them, I would say FaZe is definitely that. Are they the only contender? Probably not. I think that there can be other teams that can kind of face off against them. I'm not trying to say that any team can beat Optic if Optic's not on their day. Anyone can beat them. Personally, I think FaZe is the only realistic team that I can think of in my mind that if we go to Dallas and we see these teams play, that FaZe could. I don't think that OG is going to lose, but if they were to, I would definitely say FaZe. But I think a team like Denial could in some way. Realistically, FaZe to me is the only real contender, but it's hard to answer because I think that I know I'm making this super long, but realistically, is FaZe the real contender for OG? No, but in reality, I think that they're the only team that can really beat them right now. So yes and no in a sense. I'm just going to say for right now, yes, that they're the only person that can actually beat them right now. But I know that was really long. I like to make my questions and my answers long, but anyone else opinions on this?
What if was it Envy? Envy beat them on what maps in that where they lost on Recovery S&D? Was it the hard points that they beat them on? Did they beat OG on? Would anyone happen to remember off the top of their head? All right, I'll have to look that up at some other point. But I think that it could be either Envy or FaZe that could beat Optic. We'll just have to see how they perform this weekend. I feel like we don't have enough information from the Pro League to really be able to decide that stuff right now with certainty.
Right. New teams. Pro League doesn't necessarily define everything. Maze, any thought about that?
I think that it's a definitive yes, that FaZe is the only contender right now. And the reason for that is because, A, new maps aren't going to be used. So Optic Gaming has been weak on those maps. That's the only reason why they've gone to Game 5s in certain games is because they've been playing them on the new maps and sometimes off host on those new maps. I think that's definitely going to be the reason why FaZe is going to be the closest contender to being able to do that. Denial is a close third, though. I think that they're very close to being able to do that. But I think that what Denial has going for them is that they have young guns, but the composure later on in the tournament is what I think they might lack, unless if replays can really get them regrouped. But just seeing their communication throughout while watching the Pro League, sometimes who can start complaining, and it'll happen. And that miscommunication against a team like Optic Gaming, where they can frustrate you with the skill that they have, can definitely be a problem. But FaZe is the only contender in this particular instance, in my opinion. I don't think another team really comes that close.
Yeah, I got you there. Goalie, any opinions?
Exact
FaZe the only real contender?
Exact same thing, but the only team that can really take down Optic right now is themselves. Same thing with Complexity, same thing with Impact.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's true.
That's a very good point.
Very good point. Yeah.
Goalie coming in with the stops as usual. I like it a lot.
That's what we have seen. These teams that assert dominance for such long periods of time, they beat themselves. It's never been it's never been someone else just randomly coming up and consistently beating them.
Can you imagine
hurting themselves?
If Cole could have stayed together, how long their reign or even EG would have lasted? I know EG kind of went down a little bit toward the end, but fights inside, chemistry is such a big deal. I think that's the reason why a lot of these rosters are broken up. But looking at it, I know I've already answered the question. I think FaZe, realistically, if they stand next to Optic, they kind of, in some way, resemble, Clayster versus Formal in that battle role, and the Slayers for FaZe are pretty well set off. But it kind of answers your question there. Thank you, Fishes. I'm not really sure how you say that. For the question, we'll move on to our final. Fishes, there you go. Our last question from Twitter, which is coming from Nick, aka iconic_envy. He asks, who do you think has the strongest roster other than Optic or FaZe with all the changes? I know this is a little bit similar in some way, but who do you think has the strongest roster other than Optic or FaZe? So you can't choose those two with all these changes that have recently happened. I know it's a little bit hard. I know it's a little bit of a harder question. I hate to throw it to someone, but goalie, would you be willing to answer this one first?
Fine.
I'm sorry.
Fine.
I handed it to you with the old men of Optic. I just had
Old
to.
men of Optic.
This is
okay.
your chance to redeem
I
yourself.
deserve that. On the spot. That's the problem. All these teams are middle of the pack, in my opinion. Like, I know, and some owners and some people get offended by that. I know a few of you watch that show or our show, but none of them, like, none of the teams impress me except FaZe and Optic, to be completely honest. If I was gonna take a string out of a hat, I would have to say like Envy or Denial. Honestly, I don't think any of the, like, all these rosters, I know Neslo made a video a long time ago, or like long time ago equals 2 weeks. I didn't get to watch it though, but all these players or all these teams are playing for second right now.
Scrimming, man. Yeah.
So
it's true. I actually made a video about it too, but it was kind of based off Nestle's video. But
did you make that video public? Because we had talked about that. We just hadn't.
I made it public.
Okay.
So it's uploaded. You guys can check it out if you want to. I tweeted that a couple days ago. I'm not trying to pump my own videos or anything, but your guys' opinions.
Yeah, dude, promote your own video.
YouTube doc. No, I'm not gonna say.
I'll watch it regardless. I don't care what they say about you,
Just
Landon.
type Air Landon on YouTube. You'll find it eventually. It's
There
pretty
you go. Or Rondez Fox for
that
anybody
too.
interested.
We're basically the same person. It's, you know.
Yeah.
We have a group channel. Not really.
So, hey, this is gonna surprise you guys. I'm gonna go out on a whim here. I know the only person that's really gonna be excited is Justin, and that is, I think that Team Caliber might be a little bit of a dark horse, and the reason for that is because Theory has low-key been doing very well, and he was on Rise, which didn't fit his role that well. I think he's played well with Sharp. A lot of people probably don't remember too much of how his performance has been, but Neslo, Theory, and Sharp together have had the best placements with them playing next to each other than they have in other teams. And I think that they could possibly get themselves that, hey, we have a point to prove here, and we're going to try to do what we've been trying to do this entire season for AW. And I think they might have a legitimate chance just because they have that dormant team chemistry. It could come out at any time, and if it does come out at the right time, I think that they could really upset some teams. And, of course, if you ask them, they're probably not going to think it's an upset, but in the community right now, I think it could be looked at that way. So I got faith in a little bit of those TK guys. I think that they could get something going.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like when people doubt TK, they come up and really surprise people, just like they placed third in season one. I mean, obviously, the team roster was a little different. That was Sharp, Goon, Theory. But when Sharp and Theory on the same team, they definitely turned some heads. I mean, they ended up bringing Optic Gaming to Game 5 a lot online, and then did it again on LAN, obviously losing the Solar S&D. This is when Optic was like in their prime on Solar S&D, when they went undefeated on it for a long time. I do feel like when TK gets doubted, they don't come up on top, but they come up a lot higher than expected, placing in the money and placing well. So I definitely don't want to doubt this TK roster.
Guys, that's why I intentionally doubt them. I want them to place amazing, so I doubt them every tournament.
Right, just like bring them down, hopefully that they going to prove you wrong. But to be honest, I was going to say TK too. Like, it wasn't like my main team necessarily, but I was kind of surprised. I know. I'm just lying over here. No. But I also had Denial on my list. I think Denial is a good team. They have a lot of possibilities. To me, the main player that I'm looking at on Denial is Slasher, for the fact that team, to me, leads more leadership than they actually have at the moment. Chemistry is something that I always look at, that I force upon. And to me, having Hook and Temp on the same roster together, two amazing young Slayers, it's going to be a little bit hard to contain those two. Slasher can kind of get vocal. and it's kind of it's going to rely to me on that maturity that he has to kind of have with replays. A lot of people have said, replays is that leader. He's always kind of had someone behind him to kind of relate that. On Denial, it was always Zuma for the time being. Then it moved over to Clayster. He's always had someone else to be there with him. And I think for this Denial team to be as good as I think they can actually be, I think Slasher's going to kind of have to step into that authority kind of role in some way, get these guys going. And because we have Hook and Temp on the same roster, two amazing players that can be top. Just amazing players moving on in their career. I think that Slasher's the main factor for that roster. But speaking on another team, go ahead, Fox. You're good.
I wanted to. Are you speaking on another team you think has a good roster? Is that what you're about to move on to? Is that what you're saying?
No, I just meant teams that answer the question. Who has the strongest roster other than Optic and FaZe?
Did you already? You said Denial was yours, right?
I was gonna say Denial and TK, but I was just talking about Denial. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say. I was talking about TK. I was just agreeing that is a valid answer, but I believe that just like what you were saying, Denial and Envious for sure. I mean, we haven't talked about Envious enough. I feel like with the combination of Aqua and Octane and Respawns, holding it down, and then Looney to top them off in S&D. I think that's going to be a strong team, a strong roster as well.
I think Aqua is one of the most it's so annoying to play Aqua because he's always thinking about it's just so annoying to play him in Search and Destroy or in Hardpoint. He's always being on the flank. He's always kind of annoying those other teams, and with that frustration can also be to the slaying of Looney, JCap at times, and Octane. That statue AR, which can always melt you down.
Yeah.
But also TK, I think, has that chemistry in the back of their minds. They've played with each other for the most part. I know Nameless wasn't on the original team that was actually Goonjar, but I think these guys have chemistry. I think it might take them a little bit of time to nail that one back down. This isn't my favorite roster of all time for TK, but I think they can definitely make the most of it. Like I said, I'm a very big person on chemistry, and I think that TK might have that. So that kind of answers all the questions. Wait, did Gully have a chance to answer this one?
I did. Well, it was a terrible answer. After listening to you guys though, and kind of thinking about it a little. It was all Metavoptic, yes. but honestly, after thinking about
it, he's got a cold when he says it. Old Metavoptic.
Old Metavoptic.
Gotta fill that prescription there.
We love you, Goalie.
I'm just gonna take. I have my allergy medicines right here. If you want me to pop pills on stream. So.
Oh no, Goalie, please don't.
I'm not going to.
You wouldn't be able to see it anyway.
But thinking about it,
see your AVI.
Oh my God!
I'm done with you. Last time.
I'm done with you.
No way, dude.
Sorry. Thinking about it a little bit further, I would have to say Envy's, in my opinion, is the best roster. So.
The AVI.
I like Envy a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, please.
See how Looney and how he keeps his composure. That's what I really want to see. Because he's the captain now. I know I didn't mean to use that as the meme reference, but he is the captain now, and that's something that I didn't see Looney being yet. I don't know. It just doesn't seem that way because when he was playing with Team Caliber, I know Fox would probably remember this because you were at that event. You could see him get down on himself a little bit during certain plays, and he'd have to be regrouped. And I don't know if with Envy, if they find themselves down in a series, if he can regroup them. I'm sure he probably can, and he's gotten more practice with it. But that's just one of those concerns that I've had in the back of my head to see if that could actually happen or not. And it should be interesting to see how that will turn out. But on paper, Envy is a good roster. Denial is a good roster on paper. And believe it or not, Elevate is a good roster on paper. The roles with the Bell can be a little bit of an issue, but, there's just a lot of things that can happen throughout this weekend. Should be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. Yeah, that's kind of our rosters. That kind of sums up the questions from Twitter and basically for the show. So what we're going to do now is we're going to give our outros. So what you're going to do, you're going to give 30 seconds or less, shout to whoever you want, say whatever you want, sponsors, anything you guys really want to do. Just give your outro, your affiliations to the community, and whatnot like that. So I'm going to go and start off with Goalie to give his outro, then to Fox, then to Maze, and I will close it out. So Goalie, if you'd like to, go ahead and give your outro for this evening.
Well, guys, this has been your dude, your bro, your pal, your ally.
Stop it!
Yes! Nailed it!
Everyone has to choose mine, man.
Okay. Guys, this has been fun. A little too much fun for me. Hopefully I'm never on the show again. I'd really appreciate it if I'm not. But, my name is Goalie, head of Kadi Esportspedia, the largest esports database on the planet. Not the multiverse today, but we're the planet right now. So, producer of the STiKS, unfortunately. We'll see how this keeps going. And, everyone have a good night. I don't have an outro because I'm not supposed to be on the show.
You big timer?
Yep.
So you're having a
And he's
great
big
time,
time.
Goalie.
I am big. I'm.
That was
All
real
you have to do is drop the
positive.
mic now. That's all you got.
Positive vibes. Let's go. Goalie.
Drops his bike on the mic stand.
All right. Yep, guys, I'm Fox. I'm an esports commentator, caster. Make sure you check out my MLG TV channel, mlg.tv/Fox, my YouTube channel as well. This weekend, I'm going to pump out so much amazing content from the event, interviewing lots of pros, or not interviewing lots of pros, just cool stuff that I don't want to reveal just yet with pros that don't, usually live stream or have YouTube channels and stuff, so you can hear their thoughts on interesting things. It's my content that I'm going to be putting out this weekend. So make sure you follow me on Twitter @RonDesFox. It's right above my name, or right under my face. Thank you guys for supporting the show. Hope you had a great time.
Mr. Maze.
I guess that leads it into mine. You guys can follow me at MazezRealm if you'd like. I think you guys should follow the STiKS Live on Twitter as well. I think they deserve a lot of credit for what they do here in the community. So shout out to you guys for having me on the show. And I also stream on MLG inconsistently, but you can find my channel there. It's mlg.tv/MazezRealm, and you can find me there. And on Twitter at MazezRealm as well. And that will finish out the outro, because I don't have one either.
I like that. You mentioned that you don't have an outro, but you also outroed at the same time. That was very.
It was crazy. And,
It's clever.
You just got to do it.
Well, guys, as Goalie had said in the past, been your dude, your bro, your pal, your man, your ally on the internet. It's been Landon today. I'm mad because Goalie ruined it. Like, no one was. It always comes at a random time, and Goalie just had to.
But you have the right flow. That's the difference.
That's true.
You've
I
got
do
the
have
flow to go with.
Get the
it, so-
flow. Get the flow.
Landon,
that
I
was terrible.
think you did great.
Yeah.
Thank
You
you.
needed that
I
paddle
agree.
stack.
It's so nice of you.
You did
So
well
nice
today.
to hear
You got
positive reinforcement. No.
We all did great. All our prescriptions are filled.
We did wonderful.
Yes!
Not the meds
You guys want to trade
No,
meds?
not the meds.
That's after the show. That's after the
Stop.
show. We'll be trading.
The only meds we use here is Gamma Labs.
Yes!
Use code STiKS for 5% or 10% off.
There you go. And STiKS for 5% off your Scuff Gaming and Shoulder. Guys, shout out to the sponsors I don't have yet. We will be in contact very shortly, I could imagine. And guys, I will be at Dallas this weekend along with my buddy Fox. We'll be casting. I'm also a caster. I mean, there's no reason why I'm not going there just to be and stand there or anything like that. But caster, aka streamer, also a YouTuber making a lot of content, and we'll be making some vlogs and stuff at UMG Dallas as well. That has been it from us here at the STiKS. It has been Goalie, Fox, and Maze. Thank you guys all for being on. Goalie for producing there as well, and Maze for coming on as a guest. Fox, you also did very wonderful, I must say. But guys, thank you guys so much for coming to the stream. STiKS family, we'll see you all on Wednesday, maybe for the STiKS EU, and Friday if me and Goalie ever decide to do the STiKS weekly recap. Guys, we will see you later. Peace out.